Students, today I am going to discuss with you the poetic devices. Children, I just want to tell you that there are many literary devices or poetic devices in literature. But here in my today's video, I am just going to discuss with you some basic and important poetic devices which are in your syllabus or according to your syllabus. They are in your syllabus and you find it in your books. Okay, so today first of all I will let you know what is a poetic device. So poetic device is a form of literary devices used in poetry or used by the poets or the writers to create rhythm or enhance a poem's meaning. It can be verbal, visual, metrical or grammatical tools. It can be in the form of verbal, visual, metrical, grammatical tools. Means these poetic devices are like ornaments. They decorate a piece of poetry. They are used to decorate a piece of writing. Okay, prose also. So I am going to discuss the main and the important poetic devices which are very commonly used. Okay, which are very commonly used and are in your syllabus also. So first of all, the first poetic device is simile. Most of you may be knowing what a simile is. So simile is used to compare two things. To show comparison between two things, we use simile. And in simile, use of as and like are done. Like you have read in class 7th, one chapter was there in supplementary book Chandni. Okay, Chandni was a goat and she was very white in color. So to enhance that color of her body and the softness of her body, the writer has written there that she was as white as snow. She was as white as snow, means snow was not there. She was not made up of snow, but the color of the snow and Chandani's body's color was being compared to the color of snow. Means she was as white as a snow. So and we use here as. To show the comparison we have used words as. And then another example is here, he fights like a lion. Means he is not a lion. He fights like a lion means his bravery. Lion is very brave. So the person who is fighting, he is as brave as a lion. Okay, his bravery, the quality of his bravery is being compared with the lion. Okay, now the second one is metaphor. Now metaphor is also used to compare two things, but while using metaphor we don't use like and as. We are showing comparison with metaphor also. We show comparison with metaphor, but we don't use word like and as in simile we have used as and like as snow as white, he fights like a lion, he sings like a nightingale. Okay, but here comparison is being done but without the use of like and as. See, he is a lion in the battlefield. He fights like a lion and now he is a lion in the battlefield. Both are same, but the difference is that here the word like is used and here like is not used. He fights like a lion in the battlefield because means that whoever he is very brave and fights like a lion. So that thing is compared. Now third is allegory. Now what is allegory? Allegory conveys a hidden meaning through symbolic characters. Okay, like hare and the tortoise. You all must maybe you all are aware of that, the story, this hare and the tortoise. Okay, now they are symbolic characters. They are symbolic characters. Through these characters, the writer wants to give a moral or a message that slow and steady wins the race. Okay, and the persons means human attributes are compared. Some are slow and steady. They win the race, but some who are very excited and overconfident like a rabbit, or here they often lose. So through these symbolic characters, this poet or the story writer has given a message. So this is allegory. Then comes alliteration. Yes, students, in your syllabus also we find many examples of alliteration. Alliteration, what is alliteration? It is the repetition of consonant sounds, and you know, other than vowels, A, E, I, O, U are vowels, and the rest of the alphabets in English are known as consonants. So repetition of consonant sound is alliteration. Like in class 9th, there is a poem Rain on the Roof. Okay, there was some these phrases were there, like starry spheres, repetition of S. Here also one example I have written, with willow weeds. This is the line I have taken from a poem which was in Old English. Brook, okay, with willow weeds. Repetition of W. Repetition of W. And W is what? W is a consonant. So repetition of W, but not repetition of that alphabet, but consonant sounds. With, willow, weeds, repetition of sounds, verb. And here sir, starry spheres, sir. Then comes ballad. Now ballad is very important. What is a ballad? It is a poem that tells a story. It is a poem that tells a story. Now in class 8th you have read a poem, Ant and the Cricket. So in that poem there was a story of an ant and also of a cricket. Ant was very hardworking, whereas cricket was very careless. He did not, in that story, he did not save anything for winters, and then he suffers. Okay, so through that poem also the poet wants to convey a message that we should save something. So ant and the cricket, ant represented the people who thinks of future also, who save for future, and cricket represented those people who were very careless. So allegory is also here and ballad is also here, because through the poem, the story of ant and cricket was given through a poem. So it was a story in poetic form, is known as ballad. It is very old form of poetry, because in old poems you will mostly find ballads. Okay, in Old English also there was one poem, Lord Ullin's Daughter. That was also a complete story about one army officer in king's this army, and the story was of his daughter. Now comes hyperbole. Hyperbole means to exaggerate. To exaggerate. The writer uses it for the sake of exaggeration or to lay emphasis. Like this. My backpack weighs a ton. Now what is a backpack? Is a bag. Okay. Now you want to show that it's very heavy. So what did you say? You say, oh, it weighs a ton. But normally a backpack cannot weigh a ton. You cannot just put 1 ton of weight on a bag. Just you want to show that it is very heavy. To exaggerate. Okay, badha chadha kar bolna, that is hyperbole. Then comes imagery. Now imagery, what is imagery? From the term itself it is clear. Images, it refers to some images. Refers to descriptive language that engages human senses. Human senses, you know, sense of sight, sense of smelling, sense of hearing, sense of seeing. Like after apple picking. After apple picking means something comes in your mind that somebody has picked apples. Okay, so it engages the sense of images of touch, movement and hearing. Touch, movement and hearing. And also, like in a poem in class 9 there is a poem Wind. Okay, in Wind there are images. When wind comes, it destroys everything, it scatters the things here and there. While speaking these words, the image of that thing comes in your mind. Okay, that is creating verbal images. Like if I am describing something, And I went to a hilly area. It was very green. It was very pleasant. So the images start coming into your minds. That is imagery. Then comes onomatopoeia. This is onomatopoeia. Now, this thing is used, the words evokes the actual sounds of the things. Words used for actual sounds of the things, like tick tock. If I say tick tock, immediately you will come to know that I am referring to the sound of clock. Then ding dong means doorbell. So these type of words are often used in poems, like in I have just made a video on class 9 poem Rain on the Roof. So there was pitter patter words used. Every tinkle on the shingle means the falling of raindrops. Tinkle, tinkle was given to the word given to the sound of falling of this rain. And now I have discussed 8 poetic devices here: simile, metaphor, allegory, alliteration, ballad, hyperbole, imagery, and onomatopoeia. Now then, some others are also here, like irony. The first of 9th poetic device is irony. Now, what is irony? Irony means we are saying something and the meaning is something else. Means whatever I am saying, the meaning is totally different from its literal meaning. Okay, shows how things seem to be in fact very different from actually they are. Like a very fat woman is going, and I will say, what a slim trim lady is going. It means I'm just making fun of her by calling her a slim trim lady. Actually, I want to convey that she is very, very fat. And irony are of 2 types, like verbal irony. Verbal irony means by the lines, by the words someone is speaking, he is saying some words, but the meaning is totally different. Like I have just written here an example only. Like you are having very toothache. Okay, a very severe toothache you had, and you went to a dentist, and when you came back, your friend just asked you, how was the experience? You just said, it was very pleasant. Yes, you were having a toothache, a severe toothache, so the experience is not going to be pleasant. Means you want to say that it was not at all pleasant. Then comes situational irony. Irony of situations means opposite situations when are created. Like you have read about one character, Soapy, in class 7th, and the name of the story was Cop and the Anthem. What was there in the story? That Soapy, this character, wanted to get arrested, and because he was homeless and winters were approaching, and he wanted he wanted to be safe from winters, from the cold. So what he planned? He planned many tricks to get arrested. He done many things. Okay, he just took one man's umbrella and ran. He just threw stones on the glasses. But every time, police did not arrest him. Okay, means whatever he wanted to be the situation did not occur like that. Opposite things happened. And when in the last, he decided not to steal anything, to become a good man, to work hard and to earn his living and to be a good person. Just then, he did nothing, but he got arrested by the police. So there it was situation, irony of situation. Means when we wanted the things to be like this, the things never happen like that. There is situational irony. Now, next comes personification. Yes, and personification, from its word only it is clear, person. Person means when a poet gives human attributes to non-living things. Means when we consider non-living things to be living, then there is personification. Like in class 9th only, I think there is a poem, Wind. Wind poem is there. So in Wind, the poet is saying, asking the wind, don't scatter the papers. don't break the doors, don't break the shutters of the windows. Means as if he is talking to another person. Wind did not listen. Wind is not a human being. But the poet is having a dialogue with the wind. Means he has given human attributes to wind, and he has picturized the wind like a big destructive giant there. Okay, so he has given human attributes to wind. So there is personification. Whenever we attribute human qualities to a non-living thing, there is personification. Then is refrain. Now what is a refrain? Refrain is a line or a group of lines that regularly repeat at the end of a stanza. Means normally we have a poem and the first line is being repeated after every stanza. That is a refrain. Like in Old English there was a poem Brook. Brook, what is a brook? Brook is a waterfall. And in that poem, Brook himself, poet has made Brook itself speaking. Like he has written that poem in first person. Like Brook is saying, I come from the this haunts of coot and herd. Brook is speaking. There is also personification. The brook is personified as Brook itself is speaking and telling his story from its origin to its end. So there was one line in that poem which was being repeated again and again after every stanza, and that line was that for men may come and men may go, but I go on forever. By this line, the Brook want to emphasize the idea that the human life is mortal and the life of Brook is immortal. For men may come and men may go. That human being take birth and they die. But I go on forever. So this line is being repeated again and again after every stanza. One Hindi poem I am going to give you here example. Like there was one poem Jhansi Ki Rani. Okay, in Jhansi Ki Rani, one poem was repeated again and again. खूब लड़ी मर्दानी वो तो झांसी वाली रानी थी, खूब बुंदे ले हर बोलों के मुंह हमने सुनी कहानी थी, खूब लड़ी मर्दानी वो तो झांसी वाली रानी थी. This line was repeated after every stanza. So this is refrain. Okay, this is refrain, the line or the group of words or phrases which are being repeated after every stanza. And the last one is repetition. There is a difference between repetition and refrain. Most often we get confused between refrain and repetition. Refrain means a complete whole line or a group of lines that are repeated, that regularly repeat at the end of the stanza. But in repetition, a word or a phrase is repeated. Okay, and the word or may be repeated in one or two lines only. Okay, like in Wind poem. In class 9's Wind poem, even class 10 students have already studied this poem. They have read this poem, Wind. This word, don't, is repeated in the beginning of 2 or 3 lines. Okay? In second stanza, it was, don't scatter the papers, don't destroy the doors, don't break the shutters of the windows. So the word don't is repeated again and again. Okay, students? So this is the difference between refrain and repetition, because we get confused between these two terms, because both are repetitions, both contain repetition. But in repetition, the words or some one or two phrases are repeated. They are repeated in the beginning of 1 or 2 lines. But in refrain, one a line or a group of lines are repeated after every stanza. So this is the difference. Okay, students, now you will write these poetic devices in your copies and give them a regular reading so that you may get familiar with these poetic devices. Okay, because you get 1 mark question, 1 or 2 mark question, mostly in extract based questions in the exams. And this is very easy. If you have the knowledge of these poetic devices, you will easily get that mark, 1 mark or 2 marks question. So I think students that today my this discussion about poetic devices is going to be very helpful to you. So please write these poetic devices. Total there are 12 poetic devices I have discussed, and they are enough for your 9th and 10th classes, I think. So please do it in your copies, and if you have any queries, you can ask me through my WhatsApp groups, or you can also post the comments here. I will try my best to give you a satisfactory replies. Thank you, students.